right, here we are. Welcome back to Book Wave, the book club podcast. We're having another wave cast today with a special guest. I'm your host, as always, Scottsley, and today we're joined by superstar comic book colorist Gabriel Eltaeb. This is a guy that's worked on Wildcats, Invincible Universe, all kinds of DC stuff, and of course, my personal favorite, Star Wars. You know how much of a Star Wars fan I am, everybody out there. So, with that being said, why don't you give us a little bit of an introduction for yourself, Gabriel El Taib?
Oh, well, I think that was a good introduction. I'm a comic book artist. I've been a professional artist since about the year 2000. Started off doing humor strips in my college newspaper, but really my love of art started with Star Wars. I was born in 1978. I saw Return of the Jedi in theaters when I was a kindergartner, I believe, and I had the I think it was Al Williamson illustrated adaptation of Return of the Jedi, and that really just captured my mind. And I think my mom is a secret Star Wars fanatic because I never asked for Star Wars toys, and she just filled my brother and I up with those. We have all the toys. We have all the action figures. They're actually right above me in my. I work in my garage here. There's a green screen. I have a big my weightlifting, all my comics, all my arts, everything's out here in the garage. But my full-on Star Wars collection, all the vehicles, all the characters from the 70s and 80s, is all right above me here, just a few feet. And so it was really Star Wars for me. And I started drawing space battles all the time on giant, like many feet long butcher paper. I'd pull it out at my grandparents' restaurant. And I remember drawing X-Wings and TIE fighters and stuff like that. And that's where my love of drawing, I think, really started. And I was about 3. You know, I've always liked to draw since I was a little kid. And I discovered comic books. Like I was aware of them. I knew who they were. But even like in 6th or 7th grade, I didn't know Ben Grimm was called the Thing. I just called him Rockman. And then someone corrected me one day. I was like, oh, I like Rockman. They're like, he's called the Thing. And I didn't know much about the granular detail of comics until I saw Jim Lee, Scott Williams, Chris Claremont's X-Men #1 that launched in 1991. I think it came out in August, but the cover says October, something like that. And that's the greatest selling comic of all time, I guess, 8 million copies or whatever. So I was part of that wave. I was 13 or so when that happened, and I saw that book, and I had to do it. I'd always loved drawing, but when I saw that book, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna be Jim Lee's friend. I'm gonna work for him. I'm gonna draw X-Men. I'm gonna be him, basically. Thankfully, I grew a lot taller. He's a very short man, so I didn't want to be him in every way. And but no, he hired me when I was 29 years old. So I had a dream from the time I was 13, and he hired me when I was 29. But I grew up in San Diego, and Jim Lee's studio is here, just a few miles from where I live now. And I wanted to work there since I was a little kid. I wanted to work with him. And I would run into artists that worked there. I'd run into them at the comic store. And then Scott Clark, rest in peace, he passed away a few years ago. He was one of the first illustrators Jim Lee ever hired. He lived 3 doors down from me in high school. So I would go to his house and like get drawing lessons and talk to him about Wildstorm excitedly and all this. So from age 13, and then I got really serious when I was 17, 18, I found Wildstorm. I actually found it by reading Wizard magazine. They interviewed the people there. And some of the photographs, I'm like, oh, I know where the Colonial Hotel is. And Wildstorm was on the corner of Prospect and Jenner Street in La Jolla. It's no longer there. Everything's in Hollywood. But I knew where that was because I'd been there a million times. It's the richest part of San Diego. It's like a real touristy by the beach there and all this stuff. And so I went down there and I ran into Carlos de Anda, who's become a good friend of mine over the years. This is 98, I believe. And I went down there. And after I met him in 98, I started driving there once a week. It was only like a 10-mile drive from where I lived to drop off 4 pages of drawings. So that's 98. I didn't get hired until 10 years later, or 9.5. But I never quit on that. And then I worked there for 3 years in studio in San Diego. Then everything moved to Hollywood. New York closed, San Diego closed. Everything ended up in Hollywood by 2011, 2012. All the new movie stuff, the CW, all that stuff. And I went freelance in 2011. And I've never looked back. I think it was great. And Woke didn't really start like in full force until I said the line of demarcation is like 2000, I think it was 14. The Raphael Albuquerque cover of Batman or whatever, or Batgirl, and it had Batgirl crying and Joker had like the gun to her head or whatever. And some weirdo SJWs were like, oh, that triggers them. So they had to have that cover canceled. When they did that, that to me is when it was like, oh, okay, wokeism is here in our business. And it was just a little bit, just nibbling away, slowly and slowly. And hold on, I have an image of that. I can bring it up. so people can see what the hell I'm talking about. Let me open this really
Yeah.
quick. This is the famous cover right here. Share screen. And DC Comics canceled this cover, and Raphael apologized to fans online that this reminded, 5 weirdos on Twitter of assault or trauma. And it's just like, do you know how many things happen in comics that remind all kinds of people of all kinds of bad stuff? Comics are about violence, and the heroes always almost die, and then they win. Like, it's very narcissistic. And once the narcissism of the SJW stuff started to creep in, I tried my hardest to ignore it and ignore it and ignore it. And it just kept growing, and it reached a head last year with them, Tom Taylor specifically, going after Superman. He's a huge social justice warrior, Tom Taylor. And he went after Superman on purpose, getting rid of his slogan, Truth, Justice, American Way, sending him off into deep space so his son could take over and be completely woke and all this. It's nonsense. So I had enough of it. And I just said, you want to make garbage like this that demoralizes people, tells white people they're racist, tells minorities that they're all helpless victims, do it without me. And I went Comicsgate full time, and I never looked back, and I couldn't be happier. So I hope that was succinct enough of my journey into comics.
Yeah, that was perfect. But you were talking about Batman there, but we all know that Tom Taylor messing with Superman really rubbed a lot of us the wrong way. And it wasn't just the LGBT stuff, which is, that's one thing we can talk about in Comicsgate, but the just throwing away truth, justice, and the American way for a better tomorrow. And like, even as a Canadian, it doesn't make sense to take away the American way from Superman, because I mean, old Pa and Ma Kent, they bestowed the American way to Superman and to anybody else reading those Superman books. And Superman is a personal favorite of mine. So
right,
your story really resonated with me when, like, the first Comicsgate video I ever did was with Robert Romano, and we're talking about it. And like, I haven't met so many, like-minded Canadians than in a stream entitled Truth, Justice, and the American Gabe. So say a little bit about that.
Well, I talked to Jim Lee, that guy. He became my favorite artist when I was 13. And I talked to him privately. I have his phone number. We were friends, and I would still be friendly with him. I'm not like a bitch where I'm just going to hold a grudge on people forever. I'll call the actions evil, but I won't call the people fundamentally evil people. Like, I'm not going to be that harsh. But I text him, and I just kind of chewed him out. He's an immigrant. He was born in South Korea. My father's an immigrant from Libya. My grandfather's Mexican. On my mom's side, my dad is Libyan, Arab. And I know what this country means and what it's done for us. And I told Jim, I said, South Korea didn't give you what you have. This country and its culture did. Show some damn respect. I told him, they're tearing these icons down because they're narcissists. The postmodern far left people, they're narcissists. And everything about them is about pleasure. No discomfort, always pleasure, always being praised as a golden god. So, of course, it's not the American way. Tom Taylor can't abide things like that because that's bigger than him. That's better than him. And narcissists left-wing people, they don't believe anything's bigger or better than them. They believe they are bigger and better than everything. So, of course, you want to take the big things and destroy them. You want to destroy all these iconic American things because they make you, how dare something be better than me? That's like the credo of the narcissists. They're total haters. You know what I mean? They hate, and I know some narcissistic people, and for no good reason, unreasonably, they hate people like Elon Musk, and because he's successful. How dare someone be more successful than me? And so they hate America and the American way because it's their own narcissistic insecurity. It's funny, as arrogant as narcissistic people are, imagining they're a god, really that's just a defense mechanism because they're completely insecure people and they'll never face that. So you get rid of the American way and you say truth, justice, and a better tomorrow or a better world. They used both of those slogans. I don't know. I don't know which one they ended up fixing on. But that's Tom Taylor saying the American way, feh. The Tom Taylor way is better. Like, dude, how dare you? We're talking about thousands of years of Western civilization, the Western canon, which ultimately the blossom of that, the big blossoming thing that came out of all that was America. We are the culmination of Western canon through the Greeks, through the Romans, the Europeans, all of it. That's our culture here. And he's trying to say him at all of 40 whatever years old, he's smarter than thousands of years of Western culture. Don't listen to them. Don't listen to all this Western democracy and freedom that has done the most good and provided the most abundance for everyone, no matter your race or color, creed, orientation, religion. Don't listen to them. Listen to Tom Taylor with his chin strap beard. Where do you get the freaking nerve to talk like that and think like that? It's really insane to me. It's funny, but it is insane to think that you're some guy not even 5 decades old and you know more than thousands of years of accretion of wisdom of Western culture. Totally crazy. To me, what conservatism is all it is gratitude. It's gratitude to my dad and then my granddad and my great granddad, and just going back forever of, hey, you guys built this stuff one little pebble at a time, and I get to wake up and stand on Mount Everest and say, look how high up I am, but I didn't build all of it. I just joined the show and it was in progress already. And that's what it's about. And the narcissists, the leftists, they want to deny that. They want to say that there's no mountain built for me on blood, sweat, and tears for thousands of years. I did all this. It's all me. It's a better tomorrow. And I said to DC Comics, I told them, if you want to do crap like that, do it without me. I'm too good for this. There's no way I want to be participating in tearing down the culture that gave us all so much. No way.
Yeah, it's a lesson they're gonna have to learn the hard way,
Right?
Like, I think this is a lot of what we talk about on Bookwave, and me and my friend Two More V's have been talking a lot about the Bible and doing this little series lately. And as a book club, we're going through each book of the Bible, and every time we like finish something of the Western canon, like Plato or a book of the Bible or something, it's like, well, I have a completely different perspective now on not just like the potential of storytelling, but like the potential of how to be a good human being.
Right.
And I'm like, why don't people like tell you to read Plato anymore? Like, I used to believe that only the best of the best were able to become Marvel storytellers, and only the best of the Marvel storytellers were like able to be given titles like Spider-Man or X-Men. But the last X-Men title I just saw made Jesus Christ a mutant, and I'm like, no, I put that down. I was like, no, I'm not okay with that.
Right. Well, let's go back to, like, Tom Taylor knows better than all of Western civilization's thousands of years because he's a narcissist, so he thinks that. And then, the guy that wrote, it was Kieran Gillen. I don't know how to say his name. It's a very Irish or Scottish name. But he's like, oh, yeah, some mutant that raised Lazarus from the dead started a cult. So he's being so reductive and dismissive of the Christian religion, of Jesus himself, because, again, he doesn't want to believe in that Mount Everest built by all of his ancestors. He wants to believe that Kieran Gillen built this mountain himself the day he was born, and he's the great golden god. He's better than all the history that he enjoys. I would ask Kieran, I'll ask him right now if he ever sees this right on the camera. You like air conditioning? You like modern medicine? You like cars? You like the internet? You didn't build any of that. None of it. Yet here you are using all of it, and then here you are scoffing at the culture that built it. Like, how dare you? It's a bunch of like petulant, ungrateful children. That it would make me rage if it wasn't so funny in its ability to be pathetic. But just when you think they can't top themselves, they just find another way to stack another, cherry on their sundae of failure that they're making here. So sales show it, though. These companies, they're falling apart. They're laying off workers. I saw one of my old colleagues. He was an editor of mine, Jim Chadwick, friend of mine. We'd go sing karaoke and all that when I worked at Wildstorm. And he posted on Instagram today, June 9th, a photo in front of his big door at the super fancy DC Comics offices near Hollywood in Burbank. And it's like, they're leaving the offices. Well, why are you leaving multi-million-dollar gorgeous offices specifically designed not even a decade ago? You're leaving them because the company doesn't see value in what you guys are doing because you're not bringing in enough money, period. That's it. These books aren't selling. Nobody wants this stuff. Nobody wants it. So I feel sorry for my colleagues there because I worked in the office with about 30 people at Wildstorm for 3 years, and I know them on a personal level, these people. And the messed up thing about the Hollywood studios, most people there are not SJWs. Even if they're left-wing, they're just totally nice, normal family people, a lot of them. And they just want to do creative work and pay their mortgage. They're good people, actually. The problem is you get 1, 2, 3% are rabid weirdo leftists, and they cow and bully everyone into just putting their head down and going along with it for fear of being canceled or whatever. But guys like my friend Jim, I know he's more left wing than me. He's not a weirdo, cancel, angry, spit and blood person. He's a nice guy. We hung out a ton. And to see him lose his beautiful office, and now DC's going to go to some smaller offices, and they're like hot desking. That's like, oh, this is your desk today, and then when you leave, someone else might use it tomorrow or whatever. It's pathetic. It's embarrassing for them to downgrade so much. That they'll try, corporate will try and roll it off as something good happening. But like, if you're moving from a 5-bedroom house to a 1-bedroom apartment, that isn't a good direction to be heading typically. You know what I mean? So no, the downgrade is definitely because they're failing over there. They're just letting these far leftists run the whole publishing agenda, and it's really terrible.
Yeah, and like you said, I really see more of fear as the culprit rather than really malicious. We're going to change the culture. It's more like we're afraid to stop these people from changing the culture because if we stop them, they might have a nervous breakdown and then we'd have to deal with that. But
right,
a lot of it I see is just like refusal to grow up. Like a lot of people that say, well, this is the world that I see. I'm going to make everybody else see the same childish view that we have. And
right.
everyone else reading these books are like, I've already moved past this, man. Like,
right. Well, again, it's I talked to a therapist on a podcast I did recently, again, talking about comics and the culture war. And he was a family and child therapist. And I told him that my guess was, observing these people, working with them, is that it was narcissism, is what I talked about. That's why they have to like police speech, police ideas. You will use the proper pronouns. You will do this. And it's all like a little tantrum throwing baby saying, no, you do that, and you do this, because it's all what they want is all that matters. Narcissism. And he told me I was exactly right. He said it's called primary narcissism, and we're all born that way as an infant. As an infant, all you care about is yourself, and that makes sense. You're not going to be doing anything useful as an infant. You're just hungry, you're tired, you're dirty, whatever, and you cry about it. And the problem with these people is they have arrested development because they were never validated. Here's the thing. You can't have a society where you destroy the nuclear family and you throw fathers out of society. Or if they're in the home, they're like Homer Simpson, they're getting pushed around by their wife and yelled at and humiliated. Everything you have basically was made by a man. And we as men need to not be afraid to say that and take credit for it. Women are equal to men. They're just as important, but they don't do what we do. Okay? They don't. We deserve great honor and respect as men, not just for being men. We have to earn it. But the legacy of men and what we've done, that's that mountain you're standing on. Now, without women, there'd be no men, because guess who gives birth to all the men? I put it this way. Men make all the stuff, women make all the men. You know what I mean? So we are equals, definitely. But to reduce fathers down to Archie Bunker and Homer Simpson, or just deadbeat dads that live in Florida while the kids live in Ohio and they never see their dad, that is what has destroyed our society so much in the last 50 years, of the nullification of, like, I just say smash the matriarchy. Are you kidding me? Smash the patriarchy? The patriarchy, you want to smash that. The one that created spaceflight, that's the patriarchy you want to smash, or, safe food and farming and, vegetables growing and all the stuff men have done, that patriarchy, that's the one you want to smash? Where 97 or something % of people at the electrical company keeping your lights on are men, or 99 or 98% of people at the water plant are men. You want to smash that patriarchy, you ungrateful brats. When you don't have a father around, your mother will love you. What's the saying? A face only a mother could love. The insinuation there is mama loves you no matter what. And that's good. And that's the way it's designed. Father will tell you, Scott, that's BS. We don't do that. That's the difference between a mom and a dad. Your dad loves you, but he will tell you what the standards are. Mama won't. You always see the lady on the news when they're arresting a guy or whatever. My baby didn't do nothing. It's like, he did. And a father will hold you to account. A good father who has, honor and all that stuff in his character, where he has honor and restraint, and he has generosity, and he has a feeling of responsibility to his wife and children and community. A good father will raise up a good son and a good daughter, because he will be good to them and he will put them through the test, and he won't let them off easy. You know what I mean? Because he knows, spare the rod, hate the child. You know what I mean? If you don't discipline your kids and tell them, no, that's unacceptable, you're really being hateful to them. You're not giving them the best chance to thrive in this world. So we've had 50 something years of telling dads they're idiots and they're stupid. You get dumb men saying, happy wife, happy life, and women giving their husbands chore lists and all this stuff. Like, no, I'm not a dog. That's not going to happen. I really laugh like that. Make me a sandwich is a thing in Comicsgate. My wife makes me 2, if not all 3 meals every day. Like, what do you mean get me a sandwich? Like, that's just called Monday at my house. You know what I mean? So, but again, my wife is not some ugly, strident feminist. And I do find that beautiful women are not feminists typically. My wife is very pretty, and she always has been. And I think that pretty women, they like men. And I really think a lot of the feminist movement is ugly women. They want the attention of men, so they act like really, they behave really poorly, I guess, and screaming and all that to kind of get our attention. I don't know. I don't pay attention to them anyway. But yeah, definitely, I think it's the destruction of fathers, and that is what is destroying society and creating narcissists. And then all these narcissists can write about is how much they resent their father's world. So Batman isn't going to be flying through a window, punching people, and having exciting adventures and saving the beautiful girl. No, Dad likes that. Let's burn it down because we hate Dad. Batman's going to sit in the Batcave and take his cowl off and start crying because Catwoman left him on red. You know what I mean? And and then we're supposed to think that's going to sell. You know?
Yeah, well, like when we're talking about Superman, didn't they just kill off John Kent's father to make him Superman?
I don't read any of it. I haven't bought them in years. I'm being honest with you. I don't read this stuff. But I can sum up how I feel about some of it. So yeah, so in October I came out on Ethan's channel. I just lambasted these people. Is that a word? I just let them have it publicly on Ethan's channel, Ethan Van Sciver's Comic Artist Pro Secrets, back in October, where artist quits DC Comics over Superman ditching American way motto. It's a bunch of effing nonsense. Truth, justice, and a better. And that went global. That was a very bizarre experience to be global news for like 3 days, being reported on in German and Spanish, and just people around the all kinds of reporters contacting me. But yeah, Fox News did segments on it, and the guy in the blue suit all the way on our right, if you watch the video of this, it's so funny. He says that Lex Luthor should send DC Comics some flowers and some chocolates and thank them for killing Superman. You know?
Oh, jeez.
Because it was a very funny segment, and it made me laugh really hard. So as far as them, whatever's going on in comics, I don't pay attention to it. Occasionally I'll see a new cover or an announcement, and I'll just laugh at it, make fun of it. I feel sorry for my colleagues in the business because I know most of them aren't woke, buttheads, but they're like this. They're chickens. I'll tell them that. And I was being chicken too. I'll hold myself to that. I should have said something a lot sooner. My only regret about coming out and bashing DC and humiliating them is that I didn't do it sooner. If I had to do it all over again, I would do it again, and I would do it harder. I would go on every show that was invited me on, because I didn't go on all the interviews that invited me on. I was a little like weirded out by all the media attention I was getting for like about a week there. And if I could do it again, I would go on all the shows as much as possible and humiliate these people for what they're doing, because what they're doing is actually evil. It's morally reprehensible. How dare you destroy things that you didn't create that have done so much good?
That's exactly how I feel about, like, I was pretty much quiet for the most part, right up until I don't remember which issue of Captain America it was, but like I've always been more of a Marvel guy and Star Wars, clearly, but there was an issue of Captain America which portrayed the Red Skull as a copy of Jordan Peterson. And that like the 10 rules for life, and basically 3 other Jordan Peterson quotes misconstrued and put in the mouth of the Red Skull. So when the book club was going through Jordan Peterson's book, I went on like a 15-minute rant to start off the video. Like, no, this is not okay. Not only is this not okay because like this is Ta-Nehisi Coates, some journalist turned Marvel writer, straight up attacking Jordan Peterson. It's also ruining the legacy of the king of comics, Jack Kirby.
Right.
And every time you mess with Jack Kirby, that strikes a nerve with me. Like, one of my personal heroes. I've learned so much in just storytelling and life and theology from Jack Kirby and his stories, and even just interviews, that like you can't you can't just tear that down without expecting a reaction.
Yeah,
Like,
absolutely. I
the
mean,
Red Skull means something. He's German super Nazi.
right. And you think about, yeah, you just think about, well, the guys that created Captain America, the Jack Kirby and Joe Simon, right?
Yep.
Those are both Jewish men, you know, and you're going to start fiddling around with Nazism and distorting the messages in their book and all that. And I always think it's hilarious when people say, like, oh, you know, in World War II, our grandfathers, they fought against you know, like right-wing people are like, that's not how anything works, man. If you want fascists, that's what it is when the media teams up with the government. You know what I mean? That's, you know, when you have this, all the media is far left leaning. I can say that with authority. I worked at Warner Brothers for years. It's all left leaning. They don't let you go anywhere or say anything that goes against the narrative that the government and them agree on. So that is actual fascism. I remember when this, let me show you this, came out. It was, I think, Mark Russell and that, I think, is his name Richard Pace. I think Richard Pace, I allege, but I don't know for sure, that he traces some of his work. I don't think it's great work. But I've seen some stuff that just like looked like trace photos. I don't know. Maybe he's just really good with reference. I don't know if he does that, but maybe. I remember when this book was announced. And again, this is the same premise as A Better World, right? Oh, what are 2,000 years of Western civilization? What do they know? Tom Taylor knows better. So Mark Russell, another big brain here, I think he was the one who said, hey, Captain America wasn't really a conservative patriot this whole time. Secretly, he was an agent of Hydra, which is basically a proxy for Nazis. And so what they do is they take that Mount Everest built by all of our ancestors, wipe it away, because their ego won't let them say anyone else achieved anything better than them, because they are the zenith. They're the tip top. They are the golden god. So let's wipe away Captain America, and Mark Russell will say what the truth is, and Tom Taylor will say what the truth is. So this mofo, Mark Russell, he writes a book, and the premise of it is, from DC Comics was going to publish this. The premise, I can't believe the nerve. This is it. This is a level of narcissism that is so insane. I can't believe it. The Bible and Jesus and all that are wrong, and Mark Russell really knows the gospel. So this comic is Jesus is punished by God, which he obviously doesn't understand Christianity. They're one and the same. And God sends Jesus back to earth to like live in a friend's, must-see TV style apartment with some other superhero. And that superhero will teach Jesus about moral goodness and all this stuff. And whose moral goodness is it going to be? It's going to be Mark Russell's moral ambiguity, and which is frankly evil in my opinion. And not in my opinion, factually, that moral relativism, postmodernism, it's evil. It's totally evil. Okay, so this superhero, he's not on the screen here. He's going to teach Jesus as a roommate what really the cosmic truth of good and evil is. That's who Mark Russell is. That's who Tom Taylor, Tom King, that's who these people are. They have an insane narcissistic worldview where these aren't my opinions. These are facts. These are pearls of holy wisdom coming out of Mark Russell's mouth, where he turns Captain America into a Nazi, where he says Jesus' message was all distorted by Christians. And Mark Russell, all of 37 years old, he will tell you, don't bother with, over 2,000 years of Western culture. Don't bother with that. Listen to this kid that goes out for mimosas and brunches on Saturdays. He knows. Where the people get the nerve to behave like this, I have no idea. It's insane, the hubris. And I called DC Comics on the phone when I saw this book announced. And I talked to Larry Gannum. Yeah, Larry. I talked to him. He's a total social justice warrior, creep. He's the vice president of talent relations. So he's the main guy that does kind of like the contracts and stuff with us freelancers. He's a real creep. Total Trump derangement syndrome left winger. I called him up and I said, and I'm gonna quote myself here, and it's swearing. Sorry. I said, who in the blue fuck thought this was a good idea? Okay, now I want you to follow me here. And Larry told me, well, have you read it? So, okay. So I'll get to what I think about that in a minute. I said, okay, so would you guys do a book like this about Muhammad? My dad is Muslim.
I was just going to say.
my dad's from Libya. So here's how big. So he's already bigoted against Christians publishing this book. But he goes for the double down being bigoted against Muslims. When I say, would you do a book about Muhammad like this? He says, well, no, I'm quoting him. I'm quoting Larry Gannum when I called him on the phone at DC Comics. He said, well, no, we'd get death threats. So now he's saying people like my dad would attack them and kill them if they did a Muhammad version. So he hates Christians and is bringing down their religion. Even if he claims to be a Christian, that's not being a Christian publishing something like this. And then secondarily, he's saying that Muslims are going to go attack him if he publishes the other version I proposed. So a lot of scumbags working over there, and I'm so happy to be out of there. Real bad dudes. What did Trump say? Bad hombres. So glad to be away from there, you know. But you know, to have that level of narcissism, it's upsetting. But I don't get so mad as I get fascinated. What would it be like to be that you're going to rewrite Christianity, which is, you know, 2,000 years old, and you're Mark Russell, 36, 37, and you know better than all the priests and rabbis and parishioners and, you know, the Pope and the Lutheran ministers and the Assembly of God, the Baptist Church, all the thousands of years of Christianity. And Mark Russell, who hasn't put a squirt of piss in a bucket compared to these people, he knows how God works and Jesus works. That's insane to me.
Yeah, like personally, I'm not a Christian, but like I wouldn't ever have the arrogance to like the mental gymnastics you'd have to go through to acknowledge that no, Muslims would be really upset if with us if we did this, and then do the exact same thing to another group of people just because they're good enough people to turn the other cheek and, you know, forgive. It's just doesn't make any sense to me at all.
Yeah, I get approached to do a lot of freelance, and I have a heuristic, just two standards. I say, is it pornographic? I will not do that. And is it blasphemous? Making fun of the Bible or Jesus? I won't do that. But I extend that. My personal religion is Christianity, so I won't do that. But I extend it out to other religions. I wouldn't do a book about, oh, Buddha comes back to earth and learns the meaning of true communism, or what. I'm not doing stuff like that, because somewhere out there, to many people, Buddha is near and dear to their belief system. You know what I mean? And Vishnu and Rama and Muhammad and you name it. I'm not making fun of people's religion. Now, do I believe in freedom of speech? Do I believe they should be able to publish it? Sure. That's the ugly side of freedom of speech. Free speech is there to protect ugly speech. I get that. But I don't want to be involved with anything like that. You know what I mean? Ever. And it's fascinating to me that someone would want to make something so hateful and so ugly. To tell someone, because religion, to people who are religious, it is the most important thing in their life. It's more important than their own life. It's more important than their loved ones. It's the love and relationship with God is supreme above everything. And to go right at the core of someone's main belief, it's really a disgusting thing to do. So although it is free speech, and I agree with it being covered in free speech, I would never do it. It's unconscionable to me. It's totally insane to me.
Yeah. We got to have standards as storytellers, and people know I'm trying to work on my own like comic scripts, still in the very beginning stages so far, but I want to be a good storyteller that pays homage to all the comic artists and writers that came before me and all of the mythology that came before me that makes it like possible for us to live the lives that we have. That means like acknowledging the Bible, acknowledging the ancient Greeks and everybody.
Right.
And
yeah. But see, the problem they create, the lie the leftist postmodern people create is when you say you're embracing Western culture, they always translate that to white supremacy. And I'm like, you cheated there. You skipped a few steps. When I look around in America, it's predominantly white, sure, like 67%, but that's never been a requirement to succeed here in modernity. Sure, we have a past. I want to mock them and say, America is exceptional. We're the only country to ever have slaves. We're the only country to ever displace a native population, right? Because that's how they would tell it to you. That's the fake history of America. They tell you that Americans invented slavery. No culture ever had it. And then we are the only people who, took over a native land. Well, first of all, I'm part Native American because all Mexicans are. That's what a Mexican is a native and a Spaniard combined. And it's just varying degrees of which are you a little bit more of. And no, every person on every square inch of earth occupied now was not the first person there. They brained someone and took it. Sorry to spoil that for you. But no, the people there that are oh, we're the Chinese and we're right here. Yeah, well, they killed a lot of other dudes to be there. You know what I mean? And what do you think a king is? A king is just some dude that him and his gang killed a bunch of people, and then he built a castle and said, yep, this is mine. So that's how it works, you know. So is it sad what happened to the Native Americans? Sure, but it's not any sadder than what happened to any other people that got conquered, and that happened everywhere for all of human history. Is slavery reprehensible? It's one of the worst things human beings ever did, but every culture did it. That doesn't make it okay, but it does. But what it does is it prevents Americans from being worse for doing it. And by the way, in modernity, the people that ended slavery once and for all were a bunch of Northern Christian Americans. They're the ones that died by the hundreds of thousands to end slavery in Western culture. So, you know, I don't want to hear about that anymore. That's a bunch of nonsense.
Yeah. When they always talk about America's the worst because of slavery, like, what do you mean it being the only modern country to fight a war to end slavery? Is that what you're talking about? The
Right.
country that cared so much that it would end slavery with a war?
Right.
Like,
Absolutely.
that's the ultimate sacrifice, and you can't really get.
Oh, I listened to a podcast by Dan Carlin called Hardcore History.
Yeah,
It's
love it.
so good. And he just did hit. Let me. I'm not going to bring it up on screen, but I'm going to bring it up so I can read the name. What he does is he's a history buff, and he'll read like any subject: the Punic Wars, Carthage, Rome, World War II, whatever. And he'll spend a few months reading like a bunch of books about any topic, and then he'll put together a podcast. And they're typically 3, 4, 5 hours long. So he'll only do 2, 3, 4 max in a year. And he just did one released on March 6th. These are all free on like iTunes and the Google Music Store or whatever, called Human Resources. And it is a freaking, how long is this thing? It's like a 5-hour thing talking about the Middle Passage, about slaves coming from Africa and being taken to Europe and being taken to America. And it really is gruesome. It really is one of the ugliest things that ever happened. But again, it didn't only happen here. It happened everywhere. It happened in, you know, everywhere that you can imagine. If you went to war, you conquered your enemies, they're men who were able-bodied that you didn't kill. They were your slaves on every inch of this planet. So when the media that is left-wing, postmodernist, let's rewrite the Bible, let's hate America, they want to just drill down on slavery here like it only ever happened here. It happened everywhere, and it was terrible everywhere. And that's a big reason I don't want to work at Warner Brothers, and I'm too good for them, because I'm not going to make comics that tell white people they're all racist, because that's ugly, and you diminish and you lower the quality of people's lives when you do that to them. But more importantly to me, I'm not going to tell women and gay people and black people and whatever other minority you want to name that they are helpless victims of the evil white devil and that they can't win. When you tell people early and often they can't win, you know what they tend to do? They tend not to play. If I told you, Scott, we were going to play Monopoly, but I was allowed to steal money out of the bank and you weren't allowed to stop me, you wouldn't want to play with me. You would be, what is the point of that? He can cheat and no one will stop him. So then you would throw your hands in the air and just say, well, I'm not playing. So what do you think happens in the ghetto, in the barrio, in the black community? I'm half Mexican. I've seen the barrio. I've seen the bad neighborhoods. I lived in one when I was younger. I was very poor when I first got married, and we lived about a block from some drug dealers that had cars coming and going all hours of the night. My wife grew up on an Indian reservation, dirt poor, drugs and alcohol everywhere. When you tell people like us, brown people, when a white liberal like Mark Russell, rewriting Captain America, rewriting Jesus, how dare you, by the way, when a white liberal like that, that's had every advantage in life, tells a person like me I can't succeed because Scott's a racist, you can keep me in the barrio if I believe you. If I believe that there's no way out of here, then maybe it is a life of crime and gangs and all that, because why try and go up the normal way? Scott might try to stop me. You know what I mean? And that's bullshit. I'm not going to make comic books telling minorities they're victims. You ruin people's lives telling them they're victims. I'm going to make things that tell people no matter how hard it is, no matter how hard your heart is broken, you're going to win if you just keep fighting. That's what I want to make. And it doesn't matter what color you are. It doesn't matter if you're gay or straight or religion or this or that or immigrant. It doesn't matter. You're human. And the things we have in common, no matter what group we're in, there's so many more of those than the differences we have. The differences are tiny details. What we have in common, the Venn diagram on that almost overlaps for all human beings. We're almost all the same. The details, to me, the details are so small, they don't matter. They're just in the margin of error to me. The details of black, white, gay, straight, those don't even matter. Those details. It's a manufactured outrage, manufactured crisis, and I don't want to be a part of it.
Yeah, I think that's what Comicsgate stands for in the long run. Comics for everyone, no matter race, religion, sex, or creed.
Right.
No matter what the big two will tell you, they make the mistake of having decided on a target audience where people in Comicsgate just say, I don't care who you are. I just want to sell you a great story and some
Right.
great artwork.
I want to sell you fun adventures. I want to sell you Truth, Justice, American Way. And then my next book, Beef Law, my 90s action movie book. And they're just about heroes. They're just the classic tropes that thousands of years of history of storytelling, we've distilled it down and we've figured out what works really well. And again, your Tom Taylors and your Mark Russells, they want to pretend like these thousands of years of trial and error didn't happen because they're the only smart guy. Only they know what's true. And it's like, no, there's a reason the brave, stone-chinned, chiseled hero Conan and the lithe, beautiful, ivory-thighed female princess, half naked, and him defeating the dragon to save her. There's a reason that resonates with human beings, because as a husband and a father, that's who you want to be. You want to be Conan with the flash of blue steel and defend your wife and your children from evil, whether it's metaphorical or literal. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You want to be that provider, protector. That's wired into you. And Mark Russell and Tom Taylor and Tom King and these crybaby weirdo leftist dudes, they can write all the garbage they want to try and undo that, and it's never going to work. This is who we are as men. We're provider protectors. And I think weak men like that, cowardly men, they don't like there being a standard. They don't like Tom Brady, Conan the Barbarian. I almost said Conan O'Brien. They don't like these strong, powerful men because it shows them where they're lacking. And it shows them that they could be it if they worked hard, and they hate that. A narcissist doesn't like discomfort. They're a god reclining on a golden sofa, right, being fed grapes, and they don't want to work hard to be a man because it takes a ton of discipline, a ton of blood, a ton of sweat, a ton of tears. And when you're a man and you have problems and you have pain and all this stuff, no one cares. That's part of being a man. You just got to suck it up, buttercup, as they say. And I think weak men like Tom King, Tom Taylor, Mark Russell, I'll call them out by name, Mark Brooks, I'll call you guys out by name. I call them out on Twitter. They won't talk to me. They're afraid of me. I know they fear me, and that makes me laugh. They're afraid to debate me on any of this. When you're weak like that, you're going to make weak stories. It's cool. Go ahead. It's a free country. But don't blame me when it's all gone. And what did DC Comics, they got sold to AT&T. Then they got sold to Discovery. That's not a good sign. You're getting sold twice in like 3-4 years. I was joking with someone saying they're going to get sold to Chuck E. Cheese next. Like eventually they're just losing so much value. I saw the trailer for The Rock's movie Black Adam, and it's nothing. It's just like, oh, he's tough and he's sassy and he's sort of a bad guy, but he's kind of a good guy. And it's like, again, this moral relativism. Who's to say what's right and wrong that the narcissist clings to? It doesn't work. If you've seen the new Top Gun, it's a throwback. There is good. There is evil. There's brotherly love. There's self-sacrifice. People almost, or in fact, dying to save their brother, the other Navy fighter pilot, and all that. And it's an amazing movie. It's got high ratings on Rotten Tomatoes. I think it's Tom Cruise's first ever $100 million opening. It's a hit. And it isn't one of the best movies I've seen lately. It's one of the best movies I've ever seen. I love the new Top Gun. It is not woke at all. It doesn't have some 70-pound woman judo flipping Tom Cruise over her going, the future is female, or whatever nonsense that nobody can believe. So Tom Taylor, all those guys, they're dead wrong about storytelling. They don't get it because they have a thing in their way. When they're trying to write, their narcissism is there. So everything they write has to go through that prism. And when it comes out the other side, unlike a real prism that gives us a beautiful rainbow, theirs makes a rainbow of different colors of brown, mud, and poop. So, that prism of narcissism, it doesn't work for storytelling. It's really terrible.
Yeah, you really see the narcissism in like, my favorite example would be Star Wars, because back in when everyone loved Star Wars, it was George Lucas's Star Wars. Now there's George Lucas's Star Wars, and then there's Kathleen Kennedy's Star Wars, and then off to the side there's some of Dave Filoni's and Jon Favreau's Star Wars, which I can still get behind that, but I have a lot of mixed feelings about the Kenobi show that's been going out. And I've had a few disagreements with a friend of mine, but
I don't watch or support any of it because it's trash. And I'm glad you can see here because these photos I'm going to bring up. This was right after COVID. Hold on, I'm going to bring these up real quick. I've lost weight, as you can see. That's good. I got a little bit of pudgy face in that photo. But you see that black and orange X-wing there? I'm very proud of that because when I worked on Star Wars with Brian Wood and Carlos Diana, starting back in 2014-ish or so, we had the Star Wars Stealth Squadron. So I colored those up as black X-wings with red and orange stripes and stuff. And also in the comics, we had Princess Leia's fighter. It was white and blue, and I came up with that too. So as a little boy, 3 years old, as I told you, working in my grandparents' restaurant, drawing Star Wars space battles. Now, when I go to Disneyland, about an hour and a half from my house up north, or I go to Disney World in Florida, like I did for the first time this year, there are life-size X-wings that are colored the way that I made up in 2014. And that is a thrill to the 3-year-old me. I am, like I told you, just the biggest Star Wars fan, but I despise the Disney Star Wars. It's not good. The wokeism, all this, those 3 new movies, they're just incoherent garbage. It was terrible. And that's what happens when you try to infect woke and narcissism into your writing. You know, it comes out terribly. But I am where did it go? I'm sorry. But yeah, that's my cousin Allison, by the way. It was her birthday last July. We were there. And it was really fun to go stand in front of those. I'll try and bring up the pages that have a lot of that stuff. But
that's beautiful.
Yeah, I got pudgy during COVID because I just started cooking constantly. I'm a good cook. My dad's been a gourmet chef. My dad's been a gourmet chef for 50 years, so I know how to cook already a lot. And then all the restaurants are like kind of closed or whatever. So we were having pizza parties. I learned how to make pretzels and homemade nacho cheese. I was making pork steam buns, those Chinese sandwiches. I don't know the real name of it. I was making everything. And you could tell I was eating everything. But thankfully, you see, I'm not pudgy like that anymore, thankfully. But yeah, so I was looking at these photos. I was like, what the hell happened? But yeah, that was during COVID. So let's see. But yeah, absolutely. It was a treat to work on stuff like that. And so that's why it's extra heartbreaking to me, I think, to see what Star Wars has become. It's really sad, you know.
Yeah. Just as a fun little question, if you could pilot any ship from Star Wars, what would it be?
Oh, Millennium Falcon. I had a pair of pants in first grade or kindergarten, and for whatever reason, they had a stripe down the thigh, and I would wear them constantly because Han Solo's pants have the little checkered line down the side. Not checkered, but the dashed line down his thigh. So to me, Han Solo is my favorite character. He always has been.
Nice.
I just love that charisma of the handsome, strong. You know, he's always got a good joke or whatever. He's very at ease and confident. He's very masculine. You know, this concept of hold on a second.
I was always a Boba Fett guy. I love the mysterious bounty hunter hidden behind a mask.
That's probably my second guy. They're all so great, the classic characters. I think my Mount Rushmore, if I could pick 4, are Boba Fett, C-3PO, Chewbacca, and Han Solo. Those to me are my Star Wars guys. Now, where do you come down on the Force and Jedis? To me, Star Wars is the cantina, the bounty hunter, the space battles, the spaceships. I hate the Jedis. I hate the Force. I hate the lightsabers. To me, that is that feels like Star Trek to me. That's the most boring part of Star Wars. I love the raw. I love Star Wars as a Western. You know, you got Han Solo's a cowboy. He's dressed like one. He's got a vest. He's got a blast. He's literally dressed like a cowboy. He's in the dirt, sandy, the streets there on Tatooine and all that. The Jedi stuff is like, I'm not a fan. I like Darth Vader a lot, but all the meditating and all the, they use the Force. I can't deal with it. I've never liked it. My brother loves it. And where do you come down? Are you a Force guy or are you like a Cantina guy? Which one?
Yeah, I'm down for both of it. Like the first time I got introduced to Star Wars, I was like 6 or 7, 8 years old when Episode 1 was coming out.
Oh,
so
wow.
My parents or my dad sat me down and we watched the original trilogy. And I'm like, I love this. No one can tell me this isn't the greatest piece of cinema ever created.
Right.
And I've held that opinion since that moment. And then like right after watching the prequels, like as a kid, like I didn't even mind Jar Jar. I've grown out of that a bit, but like I loved the Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan, and like even the political drama stuff that comes out of it too. It's like a blending of so much. Like just that one line, "This is how liberty dies," in thunderous applause. I think there's a lot that we could learn from
Right.
that whole sequence. And like sure, like the Jedi thing kind of distracts from that, but it also kind of shows the balance of power. Like it clearly establishes that the balance of power is with the Senate, with the government, and a form of fascism where the media and the corporations and government all work together, but they're portrayed as the good guys. And when you can look
Yeah,
at it the other way, where like these people who think they're doing good are actually causing this strict order and like a fascism in the galaxy, and then like afterwards you can kind of just look at the force as like what directs it all together.
sure. And
I don't like to see it as like, oh, they're using the force, as much as the force and the Jedi or the individual are interacting with each other to embrace their destiny.
sure,
That's how I
it's
always
it's
look
more
at
like
it.
catching a wave. Like I didn't make the wave or
Right.
the energy in the wave, but if I learn the force, I can then ride that wave. You know, I think
Yeah.
I think that's something cool there. Um, Real quick, I found it. So here's the
Mm,
Princess Leia. See the blue and white X-wing she had. You see?
beautiful.
So it's fun. Pudgier Gabe here. I'm not pudgy, but I was pudgy. A lot of pizzas there. But yeah, that's the blue and white X-wing. To see that thing in real life is just like you want to cry almost. It's like, wow, I did it. And here it is. 10 years before it was in Disneyland, here it was in a comic. And I had, let me see if there's another shot of it. And yeah, this okay. And then there's our stealth squadron of X-wings, and it was really cool to see those come out in the movie. Poe Dameron's flying around in his black and orange and all that stuff. It was a lot. Man, we did a lot of beautiful work on this book, Carlos and I.
Oh,
This is
that piece
before
is so good.
this is my favorite page from the whole thing we did. But yeah, we started this book, and by issue 3, it was announced that Disney had bought Star Wars. So I knew we weren't long for it. Oh, I love this page too. You said you love Boba. Yeah,
Oh yeah.
Carlos is a great illustrator, and then I've been his colorist on a lot of things. Back to Tank with Leia, and here's her recovering. Yeah, I love the color scheme here, the blue and the gold. But yeah, we did about 3 issues, and then Disney announced that they were snatching up Star Wars. So I always wonder. I know these deals are multi-billion-dollar deals. They take years to do. Lots of lawyers. But I do wonder if that comic book we did, Star Wars Dark Horse, Alex Ross covers, Brian Wood writing, me coloring, Carlos illustrating. I wonder if the success, and that went like 7 printings on the first issue. It was a mega success. I wonder if that issue had any sway of Disney going, oh, it's Star Wars still has some juice. Look how good this new series is selling. Let's buy it from George Lucas. I wonder if even 1% I had an influence on creating the Disney Star Wars I hate. It's like a Greek tragedy. I like to,
Mm.
I believe it's true. I have no evidence. I'll probably never know, but I like to give myself at least 2% credit for Disney Star Wars. So I'm not
Yeah.
happy about that because I hate Disney Star Wars. But I do wonder if the comic book had any influence on them thinking that, oh, it is worth buying. That's an interesting question to me.
Well, at the end of the day, you can just cling to the fact that you've contributed to Star Wars,
Right?
whether that was for good or for wrong.
Yeah.
Star Wars is still so important to everybody, and everyone's gonna have a different headcanon. So like there's gonna be lots that completely reject Disney. There's gonna be people that read all of it, and your artwork is gonna be there for those that find it. So
Yeah. Have you? So you're watching the new Obi-Wan Kenobi,
mhm.
and you like it? Because I've heard bad, but I think some of the people saying it's bad. I know they're biased and they're just going to hate everything Disney does. But
Right.
what is your honest? If you could give a quick opinion here,
I
does it feel like Star Wars? Does it feel like the old '80s and '70s movie?
I it does at some points, but most of the time it's hard to get over the fact that it's breaking canon in so many ways.
Oh,
Because like when they announced Kenobi, I'm like, okay, they're probably gonna do something ridiculous as long as they don't like make Vader and Obi-Wan fight each other again and diminish their meeting again in episode 4. Maybe I'll be on board. But that's exactly what they did. So
oh,
there's a lot of good moments, like they casted a young Princess Leia who
uh-huh.
has like she acts a lot like you would expect a young Princess Leia to, like the
Oh,
pampered little princess kind of type character.
all
And
right.
they try to mirror a few moments from the like originals, but a lot of it's just like grasping at straws. Like, hey, you remember this? Hey, do you remember this? Hey, do you
Right,
remember when this happened? Hey, do you remember
right,
this? It's
right.
like, oh well, yeah, I remember it, but this isn't as good as back then. It's just it's a mixture of like nostalgia and some good like wholesome family moments that I can appreciate, but a lot of it's like the demasculation of Obi-Wan Kenobi is what I'm really seeing a problem with so far. The
Yeah,
last episode that came out, it's
uh-huh.
like he's starting to get his act back together, but it's like, oh, I'm tired of seeing our heroes as just broken individuals. Like
Right.
I'm
But
here to
again,
watch him become the hero again.
right. Yeah, but that's that narcissistic writing where they don't want to write Rambo being strong and brave
Hmm.
because it makes them as a narcissist feel bad about themselves. They don't want to see a big badass man because then he's going to win and he's going to get the women and the money and the fame. And what about me? I'm Tom Taylor, the great writer. Doesn't everyone know that I know everything and I'm better than Batman? Doesn't everyone know that? So they can't write Obi-Wan Kenobi as a badass, and he is a badass. He always has been, and
Hmm.
they won't write him that way because it hurts their little narcissistic feelings. I'm gonna have to skedaddle here in a minute. Is there anything that you really were pressing that you wanted to ask me? I can give you about 5 more minutes, but I am
Okay.
gonna have to jam.
So one more quick question because I'm obligated to ask this as a book club podcast. Is there what have you been reading lately, or any quick book recommendations for us, just in general?
The last thing I completed was Starship Troopers about 2-3 weeks ago.
Oh, right
One
on.
of the best things I've read in a long time. My other recommendation is the entire oeuvre of Cormac McCarthy. Read all of it. He's the best American writer ever, in my opinion. The Road, Blood Meridian, Sutri, No Country for Old Men, the Plains trilogy. Cormac McCarthy's from another planet. They're dark, they're violent, they're bloody, but they're so well written. It's insane. And what I'm currently I don't read like books, like hold them up and read them anymore because I'm always drawing and working on art. So I
Right.
do audiobooks. I've been doing audiobooks for like
Yeah.
10 years. And what I just bought for 99 cents on iTunes is the entire Conan the Barbarian collection. It's a 31
Okay.
hour audiobook. I'm about 4 hours into it, and it is excellent. It's got all, Rogues in the House, The Tower of the Elephant, all the famous Conan stories. And it's so, so good. You know what I mean? So, yeah, those are my current recommendations. You see, it's all pretty macho stuff with strong heroes and beautiful, sexy women and evil monsters from the abyss that you have to defeat. And it's such an inspirational metaphor for life. You know what I mean? This is what we're called to be. We're called to die on our feet, not live on our knees, right? So that's what it is. Yeah. And it's metaphorical and it's literal. You're going to fight in life, and you should love it. You should embrace it. You should embrace and I mean this metaphorically, YouTube or whoever's, I'm not endorsing any illegal violence, the taste of blood in your mouth when you're in it thick and you're fighting and you're not giving up. You got to be a man. You can't be a coward. How many people did what I did and stood up and publicly humiliated DC Comics and Marvel? Name me the other pros that did that while they're working there, and not after they got canceled. I didn't get canceled. I resigned, by the way. I wrote an email to Jim Lee and all the editors and just thanked them for the years and told them I was moving on to better opportunities, and they thanked me. Then they found out where I was moving and they weren't so happy. But name me one other dude that went online and dog cussed them while he worked there. I'll wait because you can't name anyone else. You got to be a man. You got to be a man and stand up for your conviction. Enough of this pussyfooting around from so many of you dudes out there. Find your balls and do the right thing. That's enough.
Right on. Now go buy Truth, Justice, American Way.
Yeah, you gotta buy it today. Come on, we're giving you back that adventure that you want. If you love real Star Wars, if you love Indiana Jones, if you love Conan the Barbarian, if you love strong masculine heroes and good values and bravery and all that great adventure with no narcissism thrown into the writing and gorgeous art by industry veterans, Gary Martin, David Williams, and myself together have 90 years of comic book experience, more or less. You know what I mean? We're all top level guys making the book. So yeah, you'll absolutely love Truth, Justice, American Way. I guess I should show off some art real quick, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's
Maybe the trailer too, if we have time.
yeah, let's throw the trailer in. Where is it? Share video file, and let's go get that. Here's the trailer for Truth, Justice, American Way.
What if the fake news canceled the world's most beloved heroes? When a tragic attack ends the lives of precious innocents, our most celebrated heroes find themselves blamed and canceled by the media that once glorified them. Now in hiding, will they be able to trust each other long enough to prove their innocence? Well, they better fight as hard as they can, because if they don't, an even bigger tragedy is coming. And this time, it will cost millions of lives. Truth, Justice, American Way, the 64-page full-color graphic novel. Get yours today, only on Indiegogo.
And you're going to put a link to the Indiegogo there, right?
Yeah,
when you post
and
this
your
or whatever.
YouTube channel and
Right.
your socials.
Yeah. To find it, my name is simple. It's Gabe Eltaeb. That's Beetle spelled backwards is my last name, and that's where I am on all socials. But if you go to Indiegogo and search Truth, Justice, American Way, you'll find our book. We're gonna get to 70,000 soon here. We're gonna go. I'm definitely gonna get to six figures. I know that. But I want to show you something real quick while we're showing this. Let's see. So here is some. Here's page one of the book. Gorgeous shot of Justice there. He's scaling that building, and Truth and American Way, and some off-screen photo. Don't worry, there are more pages coming very soon. I've seen the pencils and stuff for him. We had a little break on doing pencils because David Williams, the penciler and co-creator of this book, had a real bad family, not tragedy, but a very bad medical thing with his family. They're still dealing with it. So he was on his butt for about a month there. And it was really hard for all of us. But through a lot of prayer and stuff like and medical, this and that, it seems to be headed in the right direction. So we're praying for Dave, but he's back to work. So otherwise, I'd have a lot more to show you right now. But we have these gorgeous covers here that Dave, Gary, and myself have done. And yeah, we definitely want you to check this out. And I want you to buy it today. And I'm really glad that you do want to support us, that you do want people out there making great art. And since we passed the $50,000 goal, thanks to you guys out there that have supported or about to, I paid for this the other day. These are fronts and backs of trading cards. The pencil card there in the top left, you only can get that if you were on the early sign-up list on Indiegogo. But everyone who's bought the book is getting the other three trading cards of Truth, Justice, and American Way here. And I paid for those. I should be getting them today or tomorrow, something soon. And then that was for $50,000 on Indiegogo. And then, hold on, I have a lot of things open on this screen. And another thing, where is it? Where is it? Sorry, these are all the things I've been showing you. Oh my gosh, where is it? I got a lot of stuff up here. Sorry, bud. I got to go to Photoshop. Photoshop, where is it? Sorry. Oh, it's over here. Then I'm still working on the design for this. It's not done. You know the old school corner boxes on comic books?
Oh yeah.
That's the sticker for the $60,000 stretch goal. So everyone's going to get a 2.5 by, I think it's a 2 by 3.5 sticker. That's going to be really cool. And then we're getting close to 70,000. And these are not the colors. These are just flat colors, so I can actually color it. This print is going to be a 6 by 9 full color print. So imagine something like a postcard, kind of a thick card like that, really glossy. Again, these are not the colors. These are just flat colors of this print of Truth, Justice, American Way. Dave just gave me this artwork last week. Like I said, Dave finally got back to work dealing with that awful family problem with the medical thing. Really, if you're the praying kind, pray for the Williams family. But they're getting better now. So yeah, we're really excited. I am thrilled to bring you guys action and adventure and stuff like this. It really means the world to me to be able to do this and to not be doing woke garbage. It really does. So yeah. So what else, man? Thank you very much.
Yeah, I think that was all I really wanted to get to. I want to thank you for sharing all of your time with me. I know we went a little bit longer than you were prepared to, but
No, it's all right. You
I
know,
don't.
yeah, I do have to go any second now, but I wanted to ask you. I want to invite you on a show. I was talking. I do a show on Tuesday nights, Players Club. We were talking after the
Okay,
show.
yeah.
Dan Lawless, Aaron Lopresti, Dave Williams, Gary Martin, and sometimes Sergio Cariello. And we said, we should have a fan on and ask them what it's like to be a fan of Comicsgate, what it's like to buy these books, what do they expect out of us, what has been their experience, just to get that out there. Would you come on if I invited you to that on the live show?
Yeah.
Okay.
For sure.
Okay. Well, I'll talk to the guys. I don't know if it'll be this week or some week soon, but I'll talk to them. And you wouldn't have to stay for the whole 2-3 hours. You can come in for a segment, do 10, 20 minutes if you wanted. But it would be interesting to get your the fans' perspective, because to me, Comicsgate is a fan-centered movement. I want to know what you want on your pizza. I don't care if I don't like anchovies. If you like them, my only thing is, how many do you want? You want extra? I'll do it. I don't like them, but hey, this is for you. I know what I love making and this and that, and I hope you love it too. But if you have ideas, if you say we like this, we don't like that, I want to hear it. I want the feedback, because it's customer service. I'm doing my business directly to customer. Before, it was my business to another business, DC Comics, and then they dealt with the customer. But I like this way better, dealing directly with the customers and building little relationships and friendships sometimes with them. So
Of course.
that's all I got to say there. Run out and buy Truth, Justice, America Way, guys. I'll let you close it, Scott. I've been doing most of the talking.
But yeah, if you're as disheartened by the mainstream as I am, you used to love Star Wars, you used to love Captain America and X-Men, and you're looking at the shelf at your local comic shop or just on Amazon, and you're looking for something to buy, and you're wondering, where have all the good storytellers gone? Where have all the great artists gone? It's one word, one hashtag, Comicsgate. And you don't let anybody fool you about saying, oh, these are all the bad guys, or those who call Ethan Van Sciver the boogeyman of comics. I mean, it's not that way. And as soon as you realize that, they are lying to you, I had to realize that they were lying to me when I was confronted by the whole Hail Lobster campaign. I got the shirt from Jordan Peterson, Hail Lobster. It's like, you think I'm the Red Skull? Fine, I'll make the Red Skull merch. Hail Lobster.
Right. Yeah, that's a great way to always cash in on these weirdos when they start attacking you.
Yeah, Comicsgate did the same thing.
Right.
They're the ones that named us. We're just gonna run with it.
Right. Absolutely. I made a Dixie flag just to spite them, because they always say, I mean, if I'm a white supremacist, I am the world's worst white supremacist, being Mexican and Arab. But I am not succeeding at being a white supremacist. But I made this flag the other day just to spite them. Like, you want to call us that? Fine. Yeah. I took improv classes in Hollywood with my daughter. She's a stand-up comedian. And the one rule in improv is yes and. Whatever you say, I'm going to agree and amplify it. And that just makes it funny. So, screw them and it's funny. The only argument they ever have is that you're some sort of bigot. Yeah. And I just think, in my experience, my decades-long experience working in entertainment, the only people who ever cared about my identity were the leftist, cancel culture, commie weirdos. The right-wing people I've made friends with, they care if I'm nice to get along with and if I work hard and I make nice work. That's all they care about. They could give a crap about my heritage, name, skin color. They don't care. So you know what people are really believing by their actions, not their words. The far left narcissist, it's all talk. It's all virtue signaling. They don't care. They're evil.
So. Right on. With that being said, everybody, if you're new around here, you can check us out at our website, bookwave.club, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcast, all the other audio platforms. And may the force be with you.
All right. Bye, guys.